The Detroit Lions get another playoff rematch after they beat the Los Angeles Rams in Week 1, as they will be taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they beat in the divisional round in last year's playoff. It will be at home, fortunate enough for them, but I think Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers are going to be looking for some revenge. Ryan and I are going to break down this entire matchup here and the matchups, in-game matchup that you'll need to look out for, and then give our predictions at the very end of the video. But before we get into that, if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the Tracy Take, help out the channel. And while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game. We almost got 100 new subscribers within all of our Week 1 prediction videos. So let's see if we can break that threshold with our Week 2 prediction videos. Any help is greatly appreciated. Ryan, send it over to you here. I went back and looked at the stats of the playoff game here, and I almost wonder if it's going to be an identical type of game. Bucs were not able to run the ball against the Lions. Good defense. Thank you for all the Lions fans who commented and corrected us on our Week 1 prediction video as well. The Lions do have a stout run defense, and also too, I will say, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for the Bucs to throw the ball, as I think they have improved their secondary significantly. As really, honestly, the main difference in the game last year, it was a very neck and neck game, as Baker Mayfield just had 2 interceptions, one in the beginning, one at the end. Maybe this is garbage time interception, so don't hold that one against him. But Lions were able to more just methodically kind of move the ball in a little bit more diverse way. Well, the Bucs were able to airmail it, and it was a great game overall. But the Lions were able to sneak it out, 31-23.
Yeah.
And when I looked at their Week 1 games as well, obviously Bucs going up against the Commanders, they were able to throw the ball a bunch anyways. But I think the Lions had a good overall balanced attack against the Rams here. And then with the emergence of Jameson Williams, if he's obviously if he's able to have 120 something yards a game, I think the Lions will take that every single time. So what do you think?
They didn't even really get Amon-Ra St. Brown involved.
That's true. What do you think of both of these teams after their Week 1 matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Lions definitely looked a little rusty. Not the smoothest performance, especially kind of letting the Rams back in it. You'd like to see them kind of put their foot on the gas and accelerate away instead of slow down and let them catch up. But all in all, I think you saw the playmaking ability that the Lions possess. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. Like, it's just a loaded offensive roster. And that, like, and the guys that I don't think get a lot of love are the linemen there. They have probably the best, or definitely one of the best offensive lines in the league. And I know they get a lot of love, but everybody focuses on the Jameson Williams 40-yard touchdown.
I think the fan base, I will say, I think the Detroit Lion fan base, and leave a comment if you agree with this, but I think they really appreciate it, because I mean, you have the guys like Panay Sewell. Shoot, even Dan Skipper, when he called in as an eligible receiver, the whole crowd cheered for him. And so and that I think is going to be the matchup to watch overall, is just going to be the trenches, because both of these trenches I think are really good for both the Buccaneers. Their offensive line is significantly improved. The Detroit Lions offensive line is, as you said, one of the best. And then same thing I think in reverse with the Lions defensive line and then the Bucs offensive line, especially then too adding on Graham Barton as well. So that I think is going to be great to watch. The overall, to me, I think the X factor in this game is going to be the Bucs as the Lions secondary. I think it's going to.
I think it's going to be both secondaries. I think the Lions secondary, kind of seeing how they all mesh together. Carlton Davis going up against his former team, and then Terrion Arnold as well, getting another start in the NFL. Like, that's going to be interesting to me to watch how they stack up against Mike Evans, who's a surefire Hall of Famer now, and then Chris Godwin, who not quite at the same status, but is like a proven veteran wide receiver who had a good Week 1. Now you add Jalen McMillan into the mix as well. And they have a good wide receiver trio down there in Tampa. And then, like I already kind of mentioned, how are they going to answer Jameson Williams on the outside, and how are they going to answer that while also not totally giving up the game to Amon-Ra St. Brown, because he wasn't really a factor in the Week 1 matchup. But the Rams did a good job of kind of keeping him covered with double coverage, and
but they got burned by Jameson Williams, and so,
they got burned by Jameson Williams. How do you balance that?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be interesting. And there's something else, too, as well, that I'll bring up here in a second. But before we get into that, if you do like to put a couple bucks down on the Bucs games, no pun intended, or Lions games as well, be sure to check out the link down below for the Bet US link. They have a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players here. And also, too, you can bet on all the other games in the NFL or college games or NBA and NHL are right around the corner. And so one of the things, too, as well, going back to what you were saying, is how the Bucs secondary is going to kind of match up for that. Zion McCollum, Josh Hayes were both ruled out against the Commanders, and Bryce Hall is dislocated his ankle and fractured his fibula. So he's not. I'm assuming he's not going to be able to go against the Lions.
He's probably done for the year, actually, after that injury.
Probably, yeah. And so I hope it's a quick and speedy recovery for you. But that already right there, so just need to watch that secondaries because, as you mentioned earlier, the X factor is just going to be the secondaries for both teams. And Tampa Bay's already seeming like it's a little bit on the weaker side as well, just with some of these injuries. Actually, I would say probably in general, maybe anyways. And also then too, I'm curious as well now with Carlton Davis being with the Lions. It's obviously a totally different team, and there's probably new coordinators, and they've changed up all the lingo and everything. That being said, though, Carlton Davis, I think, might be able to provide a little bit of additional information on some strengths and weaknesses of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. The Lions might be able to kind of pick up on. So I think it's going to be extremely interesting. One of the things I did notice kind of when looking at the stats in the playoff game is the Lions, I'll say only ran for 114 yards because I feel like normally they were significantly more than that. And so Jahmyr Gibbs at 74, David Montgomery at 33 on between the two of them on a total of 19 carries. And
it felt like all 33 came on that overtime possession for David Montgomery.
Maybe. Oh, no, this was in the playoff game.
I thought you were talking about in.
Yeah. And so, I say that, though, that's about 100 yards through 19 carries. That's 5 yards a carry. So that's actually more improved. That's better than I initially thought. And so can they repeat that performance? And so because that's how this Lions team runs. And one of the things I kind of noticed with this Rams game from week one that I've noticed kind of throughout last year as well is sometimes this Ben Johnson offense would just stall for I felt like all things were clicking from that, I would say, middle of the first quarter, maybe end of the first quarter, all the way up until then they got up 17-3 and then had that commanding lead. And then it seemed like in that fourth quarter, the offense just stalled, just some short drives, poor drives, giving more opportunities to the Rams. And that's, I think, is one of the weaknesses. I don't even know why. Maybe it's a play calling thing. Maybe they get the balls kind of behind, or they get behind the chain. And Jared Goff isn't the most athletic guy. He's more of the old school pocket passer. So if they're able to establish that run early and then they're able to continue to play through the run, open up that play action, get those deep balls to Jameson Williams, that's where I think this might turn into kind of a blowout, kind of maybe something similar to what their regular season matchup was last year where the Lions won 20-6. But that being said, if they do struggle to run the ball, if they're not able to be as effective with Montgomery and Gibbs, I think the Buccaneers can win this in a shootout if they're able to take advantage of a younger Lions secondary.
Yeah. Are you taking the Bucs?
No, I was just saying. I was talking about how
the way you ended that sounded like you were taking the Bucs. I think there is definitely a possibility. One of the I liked yesterday yesterday in the Bucs game. It looked like they spread things out a lot. They ran a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Baker Mayfield was in the shotgun a lot, and Rachaad White had a good game in the pass catching game as well as they ran the ball pretty well. And I think that they do have a legitimate shot in this matchup. I do think in the end the Lions will probably just be a little bit too much for them, and it'll probably end up being another 27-24 type game.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to be looking for. Also, I think it's going to be a close game. It was back and forth. The Lions took a 2-touchdown lead halfway through the second half, and then that's just what kind of was enough. And I think it's probably going to be something similar as well. The thing I think, as I mentioned, is just can they just keep the foot on the gas, unlike how it was in week one, where they kind of gave the Rams a little bit of life, and actually will shoot the lead with 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. So can we avoid that? And so when you have the foot on the gas, just keep being able to move the ball, keep being able to move the chains, and just take away any opportunities for the Bucs, because this Bucs team, I think they can exploit this Lions team kind of with the opportunities now. Then as well, early on in the season, everybody's healthy, at least on the offensive side. Everybody's healthy. And so then the addition of Jalen McMillan, who got his first touchdown last year, just kind of what are some of the other potential avenues that they might be able to exploit the Lions. That being said, though, I think just the slightly better team is going to prevail in this Week 2 matchup.
Yeah, I am interested to see how much of Tampa Bay looking good last week was just the Commanders looking bad, and just not quite being on the same page, because that's a really bad that is a really bad roster with a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, and new defensive coordinator. Like everything is new for that team. So
Yeah, yeah. I'll say though, with the Bucs, they looked professional. Like it was
yeah,
very methodical. It was a lot. Not like it was
yeah,
too many that I can remember. Too many broken plays. I felt like all their touchdowns were or drives were long, good play calling, move the chain drives. It was
yeah.
pretty consistent. To be fair, though, you're right. It was the Commanders.
Yeah, well, like how much of that was just they're so much better than them that they just made it look easy. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to kind of watch going forward. But for now, we're going to wrap up this video. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Will it be the Detroit Lions? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.